Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Joe from Snap Decisions. My guest today is GLAZER. He is from Snap Judgment. You will know him very well for his content, which he does every single day. Man, I've been going to that site and watching your videos pretty much from the start of me playing Snap. Welcome in, and this is kind of cool because it's the first time I'm on camera. No one's ever really seen
Ooh,
me before, so now they get to look at my old face. And but man, listen, I appreciate you coming on. You're literally my first YouTube video, so thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it.
that's amazing. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I love the show and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I was talking to Glazer before we started, and I just wanted to say that it's just overwhelming to me the amount of love and kindness I've gotten from the community. It's been awesome, whether it be on X or whether it be in other places. And I'm just overwhelmed by it. I can't believe that I've had like 10 episodes now, and little over 1,100 listens and stuff like that is just awesome to me. So I really appreciate all of you, and I love each and every one of you for watching. So we're going to talk about some Snap, of course. Which why else would we be here? So I figured we would start by going over, because today we got like a new card, we got a double dose of stuff, we got the patch release today as well, which hit. So I figured we'd start there. And just kind of maybe just go over the cards. How, like, I want to get your opinions on how you think this will affect some of the things, especially the bigger cards affecting the meta. So I figured we'd start here. Let's start with Loki himself. Of course, Loki has now gone to he's still a 4/5, which didn't change, and it was supposed to, according to the early leak we got. But on reveal, transform your hand into cards from your opponent's starting deck and give them -1 cost. So it's basically just to get rid of the collector. So what when I first saw this, I'm like, I don't know that it's going to matter much for Loki decks, because I think the collector was a big piece, but I think a lot of people are starting to play Shadow King to get rid of him. So I think the big thing with him is still getting the cards, and they're still getting the cards for cheaper than you have them. So how do you think? Do you think this is really going to stop or deter people from playing Loki?
So in a weird way, I think it makes people play Loki more for the time being.
Mm,
Everyone knew the Loki builds were solved. We knew they were good. People had sort of moved off playing them at most points in the ladder outside of the very tippy top. So you weren't seeing a ton of Loki, even though it was still performing really well, even though it was still one of the best decks. Now people have something to experiment with, something to play with. Where does Loki fit? What shell does Loki go in? And so I went and played, and I saw Loki like 3 or 4 times, where I haven't seen it more than once in the past couple of weeks. Outside of like high level conquest, all of a sudden Loki is back. And guess what? It's still completely obnoxious and super duper hard to
mhm.
beat. I feel like this was a giant miss. I don't know how else to say it. Uh, this is entering month 5 of Loki, which is an absurdly long time for a game that's been around for barely longer than a year. 5 months of one card being like near at or near the top of the meta is a little bit much, and I wish they had taken more of a hammer to the card.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And it almost is it's like everything else gets hit, right? A lot of these other cards, Eliath and some of the other ones that were just obnoxiously taking over the meta, yet this one they just don't seem to want to do anything about.
Mhm.
And I really don't kind of get it, because it is. I played just a few games today, and I was messing around with Kingpin a little bit because I wanted to see how he would do. And I actually did get Hercules, even though I'm
Me too.
collection complete, so I get everything, and it was pretty bad. But I played a Loki deck. What does the Loki deck? Loki deck has in Quake, and I'm like, oh man. And I got destroyed. He played Quake on the last turn, a bunch of my cards, and it was like, yep, this is the same old thing that it already was. So I don't know. I agree with you. I don't know that this is going to really do anything to this card. And like you said, I think that people are just going to find other ways to play it now.
I wish that weren't the case. So my worry is that Loki just becomes a card that can kind of go in things. I've been saying this since Loki like first came out. But like the Loki deck is so good that we never really had to experiment with it. But there's very little reason you can't run like a high rolly deck and then when you miss just Loki. Right? Like
Mm.
run a giant combo and if you miss you just play their deck but more efficient. It's just a perfectly viable way to play Marvel Snap. And I think we're about to see a lot more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. So the only different thing that came in with that was the power. They were initially saying that they were gonna change his power up
Mm.
as well, but that got changed. So just a couple little points from the actual when we got the leak. A couple little tiny things changed, but really nothing big. This was their notes on that, and of course, this is the notes from them on why they changed it, and been the collector and pretty much blaming the collector for everything, but again, like you said, I don't know that that was a big issue anymore.
I mean,
So,
it also just wasn't true, right? Like, we know it wasn't true because they made the collector a 2-2 again. So if collector
yeah,
was that big of an issue, they would have never bumped it back up from a 2-0. They would have seen that in the data forever, right? So what's changing is they've now, like, Elsa had to go fine. But like they've now nerfed the crap out of werewolf. They've now nerfed the crap out of
yeah,
collector in two different ways, right?
yep.
And they just won't hit Loki enough. So I don't know. I wish I had. They hit Mobius, which like was, I mean, not keeping Loki in check, but at least like an answer. So I don't know. It's certainly a decision that they've
Yeah.
made, a snap decision.
Snappy. Yeah, it's a decision. Not one I'm sure I would have made, but yeah, it looks like we're kind of stuck with Loki for a little while longer. So
At least
we got
1 week.
that won't be. Yeah, very true. Annihilus. He was supposed to. This is obviously isn't the card because the card did change. He is now a
Hmm.
5/5.
Nope,
Oh
five
no,
six.
he's 5/6, right?
Yep.
That's right. Okay,
So he
yeah.
was
This
supposed
was
to be a 5-5, and then they were like, my assumption is everyone, no, and then they were like, all right, fine, 5-6.
yes. Thank you. That's right. I was gonna take snapshots of the cards from today, and I just kind of forgot it with all the craziness going on. But yes, so he is a 5/6, so not too bad. They took 1 point of power away from him, but basically all this really did was stop him from kind of syncing up with debris, right? Like other than that, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to do all that much. And then they kind of talked during this part about the whole condition restricted it to a set of targets that, given that case, restoring a preferred design that requires cards to have negative power, which is kind of crazy. And I heard KM Best talking about this a little bit today because he plays an Annihilus bounce deck,
Hmm.
and really that doesn't use debris anyway. So I don't know. Like again, looking at this, and yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of sucks for junk players because if you really want to go hard on junk, you're going to have debris in that deck, and the zero cards going over are going to be affected now that they don't anymore. So in that respect, I guess I could see, but I don't know. I mean, what do you make of this one? Do you think do you think it's going to stop people from playing an Eyeless?
My working theory is no. Annihilus is still going to see a ton of play. Is they
Yeah.
made him a lot worse in edge cases, right? When you've got the -1 or -2 location, and you could occasionally just chuck something over and
Yep.
like fill their lane and clog them up. That kind of thing is gone. The debris play is gone, which might at some point be too good with like a Kyera type of play, where like your
Yeah.
opponent's playing Kyera and you're like, oh, that's not great. So like
Yep.
that kind of thing is, I mean, it's worse now, right? Like, which has some value, and all these edge cases make Annihilus worse. I think he's still probably one of the better cards in Marvel Snap, which is fine because I don't think he's a problem card. I think he's just a very good card, a very good, interesting, interactive, powerful card. Like, compare him to Loki. Loki gets your stuff. There's nothing you can do about it. They play your
Yep.
stuff, right? Whatever they
Yep.
get, they get. Annihilus, you can try filling lanes. You can try killing their stuff first. Like there, you could just try and put enough power so it doesn't matter. There's enough things you can do to interact with Annihilus that I think just saying, okay, you lose because you have one less power sometimes, and you lose because you lose a couple edge cases of sending things over is fine. And it sucks for people who really wanted a debris Annihilus, but I don't think that was healthy, so I don't really care.
Yeah, I tried it a few times, and you're right. I mean, it didn't really do very well for me. When it did, though, I mean, you clogged their lanes
Mhm.
up, and the thing was with that though, and you run into that too, where it's an instant retreat. If
Mhm.
you lose to the if that happens to you, you're out. I mean, there is no staying around. If they clog your lane that badly, you're gone with one cube.
Mhm.
So they're taking maybe one from you, but it's not that big of a deal. But I agree. I don't think that's necessarily, especially what Second Dinner refers to sometimes as being healthy. They don't like the lockdown stuff the way it is. So having all that, the zeros and stuff over in your lanes and not being able to play for the last two turns, it's definitely not healthy for the game.
Yeah, we're going to get to another change that's meant to affect different types of lockdown. I think they're just trying to push proactive strategies and push lockdown out of the game right now.
Yeah. That could very well be. Gonna go to this one now. This one, I have to preface this by saying I was playing yesterday and today. I'm a big Galactus fan, a
Mm.
big Galactus fan. Not just because of the card. I've just been.
We were doing
I'm a
so well.
yeah. I was. I was a comic book reader since I was probably 5 or 6 years old. This is back in the 70s, so I can remember seeing. In fact, I think the first issue of where Galactus appeared in the Fantastic Four comic. So I've liked him kind of since then. I think for Snap though, it was weird because remember back when they first introduced the big bats, like right, back in the game when they first were putting them still in caches, but they were
Mhm.
very rare to get. I'll never forget it. I opened him up like
Ooh.
back then. And at that time, I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I had no idea even what to use it with. Now I wish I would have. I would have definitely, because I've never hit infinite. I definitely would have had I known what he actually was able to do. That was back when I think what was the meta back then? I don't even remember. But yeah, I like the card. So I was playing the Prashan deck that
Mhm.
he had out, and then it was the Interrobang deck, but basically he replaced it with the Jeff and
Yep.
took out Ms. Marvel. So I climbed with it. I went almost 30 levels with that deck, which I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. You don't really use him a ton in it. In fact, I think I won more games with Orca than I won with actually Galactus, which is kind of funny. But this card that I'm talking about here is Ms. Marvel.
Yep.
She obviously just makes that kind of stuff better. Now the nerf to her obviously is she's adjacent locations with 2+ cards and no repeated cost. So now you really have to work to get this to work. She's still, I think, a pretty powerful card, and you can still line your deck up that way, but it's certainly not going to work in a deck like that Galactus one anymore, when you could just throw Galactus in that lane and he's a 10, Professor X when you could throw him in a lane and he's a 6. It's not going to work that way anymore. And like you were saying about Lockdown, she was big in Lockdown decks. I remember the decks with
Mhm.
Medusa and other things that. So again, to your point, that's probably a reason why this change happened too, is because they just don't want to use that way.
One more thing, she's a 4/4 now.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yep.
she
She
got
is a
hit.
4/4.
She got hit
Yep.
for that extra point of power.
Yep. So she's a 414 or no, 415 still, right? 5, 10,
No,
15 if you get
4, 9, 14.
4 4 right, 414. She lost a point. Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much worse than Doom now.
Doctor Doom's still going strong, man. It's crazy. But
Yeah.
what do you think of Ms. Marvel though, as far as play? Do you think people will still bother to try it? Do you think they'll kind of abandon her now a little bit, or no?
I mean, they should. She's still
Yeah.
one of the best cards in the game. You just have to change the way you deck build a little bit.
Yep.
A lot of people I know have been playing that Revis deck that was so popular right after the
Yes.
patch. They thought it would still work, and Ms. Marvel has not been very good in it. I think the big change that no one's really talking about is how she changes the priority game. She used to be the easiest way in Marvel Snap to basically guarantee yourself going first. If you
Mm,
had her and your opponent didn't early on, then there was nothing your opponent could do. Basically, you were going to have priority from going so big and so wide, and now that's much less likely to be the case because you would need 5 cards out, right? So counting her 5 cards out, and so that since that's not likely to be the case anymore, um, I think that she's significantly worse. I think that priority really matters. How and when you choose to go first and why is a really important part of Marvel Snap, and it's only going to get more important going forward with cards like Proxima Midnight coming out.
yep.
So, given that's the case, I think she's like a fair amount worse. Is she still one of the best 5 cards in the game? Yep, but she's no longer like tier one. Like, oh my god,
She was included in a lot of decks.
just
Like that
freaking
was like you were
buzz.
talking about Loki was one of those pieces that you just plug and play.
Hmm.
It was in so many different deck types. So, but I know you're a fan of hips too. I love
Yeah.
the hip.
Oh
I
yeah.
love the tan hip stuff. I love his art. His art is it's awesome. I really
Did
love it.
Did you see the new hip armor they spoiled today?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. I'm like, God, I want it so bad.
Some people just don't like it's one thing or the other with him. I've heard people who just can't stand his
Hmm.
art, and I'm like, why not? I love his artwork. I absolutely love it.
So it's cartoony, right? So if you don't like cartoony,
Right.
that's fine. What I never enjoy or almost never enjoy is I don't want photorealistic art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I read comic books. I want my comic book characters to look like comic books, not real
Yep.
people. So, like, things like the art terms don't really do much for me.
Yeah, yeah. Those actually made some of them made it to comic book covers. He must have been doing book covers for a little bit because
Mhm.
I've seen some of that art on the book covers. While we're on that topic, I'd love to talk about this with you because I've heard you mention comics and stuff before. So, were you a reader like growing up? Do you
Mhm.
still read them? I've still. I mean, I don't. Unfortunately, the bookstores I used to have, I one of my best friends owned a comic shop, so
Cool.
I spent tons of money there over the years, but that was pretty much. I read them when I was younger. When I went to college, I got away from it a little bit. When the '90s came about, so when you're talking Death of Superman,
Mhm.
Breaking of the Bat storyline, and of course McFarlane's Spider-Man and all that, that's when I got back in pretty heavy, and that's when I would go to his store, and that's when I started collecting again. But I still read, like I said, to this day, I get them on my iPad now. I don't go and buy them anymore because there's no bookstores around me, unfortunately, anymore. Every now and then I'll grab like a graphic novel or something from Barnes and Noble. But are you still do you still read comics?
Sort of. So I read very heavily from um I was born in 81. So I
Nice.
read basically like my whole life until around like I read through the new 52, but it
Yeah.
like pushed me off comics a lot, and I still read Marvel and like random indie stuff for a little while, but then like the comic shops I was going to started closing,
Yep.
and it was like, all right, well, I guess not. So now I have Marvel Unlimited. I keep my Marvel Unlimited, but
Nice. Yep.
the only new thing I read is I've read basically the whole Hickman X-Men run,
Okay.
which includes obviously the Gellin stuff and so on. But I've read like I'm not fully up to date because the app is a few months behind, but I'm as up to date as the app will let me be. Last night I just for whatever reason decided, well, I probably because of Marvel Snap reread the whole Planet Hulk arc.
Yes. That's a
So
fantastic story. I love that.
it's our friends from the Snapping, Monroe's favorite uh run of comics ever, which is definitely not my favorite, but I think it's very good. I really enjoyed it, even if it is just Spartacus.
Yeah,
But
it
it's fine.
it
So,
really is.
here's the story you've seen before. Enjoy. Oh,
Yep.
thanks. Which is look, it was well done as long as you
Now,
do
did you read the
your
sequel?
homage
Did you
well.
do World War Hulk 2?
I have not gotten there. That would be well, it would be tonight. But it's a patch day,
That's kind
so
of
like that'll
pretty.
likely be tomorrow.
Yeah,
The last good Marvel event.
that's a fun one.
That's
Yeah,
not fair. That's not
yeah.
fair. I liked Secret Wars a lot.
Secret Wars was fun. The
The
original one. Now you're talking the one from the
no.
'80s or the new
Well,
one?
both, but
Okay.
the new one, the Hickman run. I really like Hickman. I know that he can be like clinical for some people, but I
Yeah.
really enjoy him.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's great because that's one of the reasons why I play. I have a thing about I like to see the cards that are close to the lore or as close as
Hmm.
they can get. I know some of the cards do a really good job with that. Some of them are kind of eh. But yeah, I kind of it's cool. I like to see that people are still reading the books and or read the books and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and kind of you get into it for that reason. How about the movies and stuff like that? Do you watch those too, or no?
So I've seen every single MCU movie in theaters.
Nice. That's awesome.
I haven't made it through a couple of the TV shows.
Yeah,
Like
I'm excited for Echo.
Secret
Echo
Invasion
looks
was bad.
okay.
Secret Invasion was bad.
Were you in one of those theaters where they went crazy when the Avengers thing happened at the very end of the where you see the when Endgame
Oh
with
yeah,
Endgame
yeah.
and everybody where you mine was so dead.
Oh
Nobody
yeah,
did
it was
anything.
really.
Everybody just sat there. I'm like, this is one of the coolest things ever. And then I'm watching videos on YouTube of everybody
Yeah,
cheering and screaming. I'm like, oh man.
you everyone acts like the MCU is doing something wrong because it's not as big, and it's not just like they finished the story and then they didn't bother to have a new hook,
Yep.
right? Like a lot of it was just momentum, and like it was like, oh, the story is over, thanks, bye, and then
Yep.
like the next movie, like the I never remember what this is. It No Way Home? Yeah, No Way Home.
Spider-Man, no way. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
No Way Home was great, and but like they didn't bother to really introduce a new hook, right? And
Yes.
what no one ever really likes to realize is multiverses make things feel less important, not more important.
That's true.
So like
Yeah.
they're like, oh, Doctor Strange in the multiverse, and like then he kills all these characters that like so like now when they show up, why do I care as much, right? They've shown up and like There's a
Yep.
billion versions of these. What makes your version of these the one I should care about now? And like, I don't think they realize that.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's very true. It's I kind of thought that once that all ended, especially knowing that Downey and Chris Evans were
Hmm.
done, that was a big hit because you
Hmm.
took two people who are that popular that basically carried that, for most of the really good movies throughout, and then they just leave. That's a
Hmm.
big loss to go through and then having to move forward with stuff. So I kind of figured, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna probably slow a little bit now.
Hmm.
So yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I think that, and I don't know. I mean, obviously, the powers that be know a lot more than I do, but I wouldn't have gone forward with the multiverse thing right away. I don't think.
I don't think they know that much. Not even just. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I
No,
like.
yeah, hey, yeah,
Like it's I mean it's possible they do, right? But like everything you hear about movie execs, it from everyone involved is like they're kind of clueless and sometimes they have a hit. And it's like, yeah, that seems right.
yep. Yeah, I can see that because it just doesn't, like, now it almost looks like I was saying with Echo coming out, it almost looks like they're trying to course correct and almost go
Hmm.
backwards where the people are saying they want to establish Kingpin now as like a main villain. So they're going to have him kind of
Hmm.
be the, in fact, I think the director was saying he compared him to Thanos. He's like the Thanos of the ground level. So I don't know if that's the way they're going. They're just trying to rekindle it a little bit because so many people love that Netflix stuff,
Hmm.
and maybe that's the way they're going to go. I have high hopes for it. I hope it's good. In fact, I think it releases tonight, if I'm not mistaken. But
It's out, yeah.
yeah, I hope it's good. And who knows? Maybe that'll bring back a little bit to it. But I'm sure Deadpool will. Everybody loves Deadpool.
Yes. So
So
so what it can I don't think it can come back on TV. Like I think a lot of like it just I think they need to like if they have a TV show running at all times, then it doesn't feel special. Remember how
yeah,
special when WandaVision first came out, every episode felt?
yes,
Because it
yep,
was like the only thing. And then they were like, okay, here's six more of these in rapidly declining quality. And it's
yep,
like, well, these don't like, no one, they don't feel special anymore. They could, you might like them, right? You might hate them, but they don't feel like a deal. They don't feel like an event. And like, much like the multiverse. And now you're just like flooding us with things. And like, I understand that, like, you're like, ooh, people like this. Let's give them more of what they like. But like,
yeah,
part of it is keeping some sort of rarity to it, building anticipation. Um, like Secret Invasion. What if just ended, right? And now it's
yes,
Echo. So like, why did I didn't have a chance to miss Marvel? I didn't miss Marvel. I didn't have a chance to like be like I'm looking forward to the next thing. The last thing ended, and then we were immediately on to the next thing. Like, let me catch my breath. Give me a few months. Like,
yeah.
make it something that I want to see. But it's just it's poor marketing, which I say as I do like daily YouTube videos. I'm aware of the irony, but like it's not the same, right?
No,
Like it's just so you can daily shows can work, but when you've built your entire franchise upon event and spectacle, you can't have event and spectacle every day. It becomes normal.
that's true. Yeah, it's almost like overload, and I get it. I've been not only I mean, I'm a fan of mostly the geek culture stuff. I like a lot of it. I'm
Me
a
too.
big Star Wars fan too. I saw Star Wars when I was a kid. When I was at like 1977, I remember going to see it. So I'm into a lot of that stuff. But you're right. It not only does it for these kind of films, but it can do it for almost anything.
Hmm.
And Star Wars suffered the same thing. There was just an overload of stuff.
Yes, but Star Wars has a different problem.
Yeah, you're right.
90% of the Star Wars they release. So I realized this as I was watching what was it, Obi-Wan. I was like,
Yes.
there have been like 1,000 Star Wars properties in my life, not counting the extended universe stuff, right?
Yep.
But like just main like canon, like big mass release Star Wars stuff. Like less than 10% of it's any good. Like even if you like some of it, you like it and you're like, I know it's bad, but I like it, right?
Yep.
Like prequel stuff, right? Like people like various parts of the prequels, but like no one's like those are great movies, right? Like because
Yes.
they're bad. You
Yep.
can have nostalgia for them, you can enjoy them because you like Star Wars, but like they're actively bad.
They weren't good.
From my
Yeah.
from my perspective, it is your opinion that is like, what are you doing? Like it's just they're bad writing, they're badly acted, they're
They
bad.
are.
Like I think Star
Yeah.
Wars' problem is that like it lives entirely on those like few bright moments. But like and like when they're good, they really hit, right? Like you the like the Han and Chewie going on to the Falcon and going, "Oh, we're home."
Yeah,
That
oh yeah.
moment like
Yep,
is
yep,
like pure chill. Nothing hits it, right?
yep.
But like the rest of the movie, it's like, "Oh, I've seen the rest of this movie though."
It was a remake of Star
Yeah,
Wars. Yeah,
but like it's
yeah,
just
that's pretty much all it was.
so
Yep.
what are we doing? Like I don't know. I think like the MCU doesn't, at least yet, just do pure rehashes. They're
Right.
trying to do different things, and sometimes they fail, but like they have a reasonably high success rate. And I think like, I mean, I wish more Star Wars was good, right? But like they release Ashoka, right? Or I say that wrong,
Ahsoka,
but
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I always say it wrong. Sorry,
Yep.
but
That's not
they release it, and it's like, oh my god, I'm so excited. And they're like, let's just do a weird sequel to Rebels without telling anyone that's what this is. And
yep.
it's like, motherfucker, like, sorry, like it's just like, come on, like nothing against Rebels, but like I shouldn't have to watch a 15-year-old cartoon to know what the hell is happening in your TV show.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're right. The only reason that has me kind of excited is because I think what he's doing, and I could be wrong, but Filoni, the one thing I like about him is he seems to kind of like what he's doing with that, and he's been a big fan of it all his life. He's worked with Lucas a little bit, so I kind of have a little more faith in him. But I think what he might be doing there is the Heir to the Empire series minus the original characters. And the books were very good. That was really the only thing we had. Like when Jedi was done, there was nothing but that book series, and that was the Thrawn trilogy of books. And I
Hmm.
remember reading that, thinking like, "Oh wow, this is really cool." But I think all he really is doing with this is he's gathering characters
Yeah,
from Ahsoka, Mando, and all them, and he's going to have that Thrawn trilogy with them because the OG characters are too old to do it. Although they made Luke look pretty good when they used that deep fake
they did.
stuff. But so, but yeah, well, that was a cool little side discussion. It was
Hmm.
completely off topic, but hey,
It's
I just
still
wanted
the
to talk to you about
Disneyverse.
comics.
Still
Yeah,
the Disneyverse. We're on the same
yeah,
track.
you're right. That's true. It's still under one umbrella. Yeah, lots under that umbrella, actually. All right, I want to talk about this one and this Quake. Oh man. This is 2-3 on reveal, middle location swap the positions. 2-3 on reveal, swap the positions of the other two, other than the one that she's on. Personally, I think this is going to be a difference maker card. I mean, she's a Legion, and I've already had it played on me. I told you there was a person playing a Loki deck and they put it down on turn 6
Hmm.
and messed with locations, and I ended up getting one of the locations that negatived all the cards that I had in the locations, which sucked. And I'm like, oh man, but to me, you keep this as a turn 6, play it with a decent 4 card. It could be a pretty devastating card, I think.
It's enjoy it while it lasts because that's getting nerfed into oblivion.
Yeah,
It's
you're
way too good.
probably right.
It's way too good. Like they
Yeah.
can't. They gave us like one of the best cards in the game for free, and like
Yep.
they are not in the business of doing that, right?
Yep.
Like it's just like here, have a card that's like on, and like in different ways. Have a card that's on Blob's power level. Have a card that's on Ms. Marvel's power level.
Yep.
Just because you happen to already own the Series 3 card, that ain't happening. They're
Yep.
nerfing that to oblivion. But like it's gonna be like a 3-1 with the same ability.
Here she comes, and there
It's
she
just
goes.
she's stupidly powerful, and she's gonna cause the meta to like the Twitter and Reddit groups are gonna love her for 2 days, and then she's gonna be the most controversial card in Snap.
I said I put that out on my Twitter, and I said get ready for the I think I called it the Quake meta. I said get ready for the Quake meta, folks. There are people who are like, get out of here. It's a 2-3. What's she
So
gonna do? And I'm like, I wouldn't say that because it's gonna be everywhere.
mhm,
I mean, even if you like you were talking about that deck, I forget the gentleman's name that made it. The Sarah.
Grievous.
Yes, yeah, I mean, you could throw that in there. Easily
Mhm,
fit that card in there,
mhm.
and then that messes with everything. Yeah, I don't know. This card's gonna be. So many people love her, which I didn't even realize why. She's not really a major character in the comics, but from Agents of Shield.
Yeah, Secret Warriors was a great book.
Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No
But
one read it, but like it was great. I
yeah,
promise.
no, I think I may actually have that, but it's been a while. I think since I read it, but I liked Agents of Shield. I know a lot of people maybe
Eh,
didn't, but I didn't mind it. Like the first couple of seasons, it got really hokey when they went in space and all that weird stuff. But She was a good character though, and I think that's maybe why a lot of people like her. And it's funny, I was laughing because I was looking through the card. I'm like, I never touched this card ever. I don't think I ever used it, ever played it, ever touched it. And I have like 5 variants. And I'm like, I have no idea I even had the variants that I had of her. But yeah, I agree. It's that's a very powerful change, and you're probably right. They probably will nerf the hell out of it. I would imagine probably pretty soon, sooner than later. All right, Dracula. This is really not any big deal at all. 4/1 now it is, and it's essentially the same thing. I don't know. Do you think this even makes a difference really that much? I don't. I mean, I think the decks that are going to have it are going to have it regardless.
Edge cases. You don't play it anywhere else, but it'll win or lose games on edge cases. Sometimes the +2 power it gets at some random point from some location or whatever that it now keeps will win you a game. Sometimes that it's going to get negative power from an evolutionary Cyclops now that it's going to keep is going to make a difference. Is it positive or negative? It's a change.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just a change. I don't know how much I think I care, but like it's is it ultimately going to be good or bad? I don't think we can know yet. But it is different. It's just not very different. It's not noticeably different. I don't know if we're going to notice the difference, largely because Dracula is not really in the meta.
Yeah. That discard type, I think, kind of went bye-bye after America Chavez changed.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of people playing hella discard, and now Black Knight a little bit got back into it too. But the old-fashioned one, the Dracula discard, maybe it'll come back with next month, because I know there's some pretty good discard cards coming out with next month. So maybe it makes a comeback. But yeah, I think you're right. This one here, absolutely, I think makes no difference whatsoever, because I don't think it's going to be touched anyway, and that is Angel. I think it's still bad, and I don't think anyone's going to play it. We did it. They were all proud of it. The change has been in the queue, but we've delayed it to ensure the VFX. Angel's a card we give to players early, so we wanted to be sure we weren't breaking a charming piece of that new player experience. Now, the only thing that's different is it flies out of your hand or your deck to replace it. I mean, I know I was listening to KM Best show, and he mentioned about it being a deck thinner, which I could kind of see that could be the only maybe reason you'd, but even he said nobody's still going to play this card.
So Den says he has a bounce deck, a death bounce deck that works with this.
Okay.
And I'm inclined to at least test it, largely because I love bounce it, very little because of the actual card.
Yep.
Is this going to be necessary for that deck? No, but like a deck thinner there is decent, right? Like, because that like they get like deck thinning and bounce is more useful than other places because it gets you to your like werewolf, it gets you to your beast, it gets you to your power pieces, and if you can get that combo going more consistently, that's good. And it's an extra thing to kill, and you can incidentally kill it. You don't have to try and kill it because you have Killmonger. So incidentally killing it has value there. Is that going to be good? My guess is still no.
Yeah,
but it's at least cool. Like I'm not mad at them for making something that was uncool cool.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's a fine change. I mean, at least it brought it to the forefront, and people know it exists, other than people that are playing that are brand new. This card here, I'm kind of happy with this actually, because
I'm happy with that variant you chose.
I like, the pirate.
I got my infinite border on that avatar this season.
Dude, yeah, nice. Yeah. I love this. When I pulled it, I'm like, wow, that's really flamboyant Kingpin, but I kind of dig it. The pirate
Neil Gaiman's idea of Kingpin.
Was it Neil Gaiman?
I think he did 16.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, no, I like it. I wanted the other one. I like the other one. I've seen, actually it was in my store today, and I was tempted.
Which
it was
one?
the super rare one that he's kind of in the shadows.
Oh yeah, that one does look cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, I still might buy it because it's still there. I might take a swing at it now, especially since but I'll tell you what, I played it today. I had fun with it. I put it in a deck. It was, I'm just kind of moving cards around. It's almost like a silky smooth type of thing. You're moving silk around. You have Kingpin in there too. I'm not saying it's probably the card that's going to win you all the games, but he kind of sat in that lane. And many times what I would do with it, I had him in the same lane as I had Kraven. So then people were trying to, it's coming over the same thing. You'd make their cards go down while yours were going up, and it just seemed to kind of work pretty well. But I enjoyed it. I don't know if he's going to be meta or anything, but he's a lot more fun than what the card used to be. I saw people playing it well with the other way too, where they would just wreck people's cards. But it was so hard to get that done. You'd need Magneto to do it, pull people over, and have them kill them. But I don't know. I kind of dig this. I kind of like it. They changed him. When a card moves here, destroy it. When a card moves here, afflict it with full. Oh no, never mind. That's
-2.
That's
it's -2. That's the location.
Correct. That is the -2, not the -4. Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. But yeah, I don't know.
Opponent's card moves there too.
Yes, I think I might have put that for this because that's changing too. That I had that there. I might have had my notes messed up. Anyway, what do you think of Kingpin? Are you gonna play him?
Nope.
No.
The move players I know tested them. They don't like them, and I'm willing to trust them. I have like 3 or 4 people I look to for move decks.
Yeah.
And they were all like, "We tried him. He's awkward." Like,
Yeah.
you could run a move their stuff deck, but he's not enough of a payoff for that. And there's not really another payoff for moving their stuff, right? Outside of messing with their strategy a little bit.
Yeah.
And like he's fine, right? Like he's significantly better because 2 is significantly better than 3.
Yep.
But if you were a 2/3 with the old ability, he'd be even better yet. So I don't know.
I'm wondering if they had to probably do that because of Echo coming out too, that they gave him a little bit of love, I would think, kind of help to advertise that. They kind of do that too with changes to cards, and sometimes when they could coincide with a show or something that's coming on. But
dropped.
Yeah, that's I always loved the character. I always did. Comics all the way through, and I thought D'Onofrio does a great job playing him in the Daredevil series too. So that's why I'm kind of curious to see what Echo is. Fist Tower got changed as well. So now when you move stuff to there, it gets a negative power instead of getting destroyed.
First time I saw that, it was a Strange Academy game.
Well, oh, really?
Yeah. I lost. I didn't lose because of that. I lost because it was also a District X game. Okay. And my opponent from District X got Lady Sif, Infinite, and Hela.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, I win. And then because I saw them discard the game, I was like, there's no way they got Hela also, right? I'm like, maybe I can play it. So I'm ahead in 2 lanes. I'm like, if I just play around Doom here, I can still lose, but it's not really likely. And then it was like Hela in this location, which takes that over, and then Infinite, which takes the other. And it was like, fine. I lost 8 cubes. I was like, great, thanks, game. There's the game when the game just tells you to lose, right? It's just like, you don't get to win now. All right, thanks.
Yep, you lose. I can't I think I remember I was chatting about this with you when I was going over what we were going to talk about. But one of the things too, I know you did a top 5 on the How Can She Snap podcast. I think you guys did a top 5. There are decks, and you just mentioned one of them that I literally can't stand. Hela is one of them because for whatever reason, if I play that, it's that deck. It's I'm trying to think of the other ones. Tribunal or Mr. Negative. Any of those 3. If I play them, I never, ever, ever, ever get the cards I need. Never. Mr. Negative, I will either I'll start with a handful of the big cards and then get Mr. Negative way later when it's too late. And you want those big cards in your deck at that time, not necessarily in your hand.
Yep.
Or I don't get Mr. Negative at all. Hela, I just either discard Hela, I can never get her back, or I just don't get. But those I guess you call them I've heard them called wombo combo decks. Yeah. I never ever ever win with them, and I can never get the combos. And then, but yet they play me. You can guarantee. I played one today. I played a Tribunal deck today, and I'm like, should I stay or should I not stay? And I'm like, oh, what are the odds that he gets the last guy? Because he had the Tribunal down already. But then I'm like, and then he has the Iron Man. I'm like, oh, what are the odds that he gets Onslaught? And of course, down comes the Onslaught. I'm like, oh, it's just, if that were me, no way. Are there any decks in this game that you just you almost just cringe when you play?
No. There's cards I hate, but there's not decks I like. There's decks I hate playing.
Yeah.
I don't really hate playing against stuff. I'm honestly getting real. I win most of the time against it because I build decks specifically to do so. Okay. But I'm getting real bored of Thanos Blob.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mostly just don't like Blob because he changes the geometry of the game so much.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. That card, see, and that goes back to we were talking about the lore of the cards and stuff like that too. When that first came out, I'm like, I don't ever remember, but then someone corrected me because I didn't know that he actually ate someone in the comics. In fact, he ate Wasp, and I had no idea that that was true. I don't remember ever reading that book, but I'm like, I number one, I don't think he eats people to gain their power. I'm like, and then when he would just stand there and they're just making that noise that bloop, bloop, and it would just eat
Mhm.
all the rest of your cards. I'm like, I kind of don't think this is what he was meant to be. But yeah, you're right. That card is just, I mean, when it first came out, I mean, you got a card that's 60, 70 power sometimes, and it's like, oh, forget it. Like, there's unless you have Shang-Chi, you're dead. And now they could protect him with Kyera. It's like, oh my God, you're right. That deck is, there's so much Thanos. Everywhere you look, there's so much Thanos. So, to your point from before, he's probably getting a nerf of some kind, or maybe I don't even know if they can nerf him. They probably have to rework him, I think.
Simple enough. You start with he only eats cards that started in your deck, and then like you edit from there. I think if you just start with like he only like this way he's not eating the stones, right? He'll still be very good, and then you cap him at like 30, which is still like stupidly high.
Yeah,
Because
oh,
like
yeah.
for anything else to get that high as a single card, you need a million things, and then he's still probably got to get nerfed again. But I think that's a decent place to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I although it's funny, I was beating some of those decks, the Thanos decks with that Galactus deck, which is hilarious. I never
Mhm.
in a million years thought there's no way I'm beating this deck because you could start, when the stones start coming out what they're playing,
Yeah.
and it's like, yep, I must have just gotten lucky that they either just didn't draw him or whatever the case might be. But yeah, no, I agree with you. That deck's getting a little obnoxious now. But yeah, I just those combo decks just I don't know, man. I just I just I get beaten up by them, and it's like, yeah, no, I just don't have the luck to get the cards. All right, moving on here. That was Fist Tower. I want to go to this because you had a comment on that podcast that I mentioned that how can she snap
Hmm.
the podcast about the state of the game. And I wanted to talk to you about that because, again, having what I have invested, and we talked a little bit before the show about that. There's this announcement. So this came from Second Dinner's X Series B announcement. We formed Second Dinner to make the most fun games ever. We're decided to announce our $100 million Series B led by whoever that was on Twitter. Can't wait
Hmm.
to take Marvel Snap to future projects and new heights. They raised $100 million. And then this second dinner, the game development studio behind digital collectible card game Marvel Snap has unveiled the $100 million Series B investment led by venture capital Griffin Gaming. Investment not only boosts our capacity, gives us capital to jump on any great opportunities that might come our way, but most importantly, solidifies our commitment to making the most fun games ever. That's from Second co-founder and CEO of Second Dinner. This just talking about the investment will help us make more awesome stuff. We'll use it to develop and commercialize new titles, ensure that Snap grows globally. This I thought was interesting too, because you mentioned this. Most of Second Dinner is focused on Marvel Snap. Ben Brode, co-founder and chief development officer at the company, also said that we've also got a couple other things cooking. And I remember you made that comment about how you think that you're not sure that Ben will be around very much
Hmm.
longer, which I thought was kind of funny when I read that. I'm like, oh yeah, GLAZER mentioned that. They're super fun. I put two supers because it's possible they are too fun. So what do you make of all of this? I mean, we chatted a little bit beforehand, but obviously this is good news, right? I mean, at least for the people
Most.
who were a little concerned about it but I want to hear your point on this because I know you brought that up on that other show.
Okay, so it's good news in that the game's not going to die. There's too
Yeah,
much money invested.
right.
This is probably not going to be beneficial for the consumer who plays the game, though. Venture
Mm,
capitalists aren't known for their consumer-friendly practices, and they're not known for not meddling, despite what they say in the negotiation phase. Right? They'll be like, "Oh, we'll never meddle in anything," and then they give you the money. Like, okay, so how about we turn this profit in this way by this date, or you're in trouble, right? Like
yep.
that's traditionally the venture capitalist way. But further, like they released a patch today, right? And like they had like 5 issues in that patch. There was the like some people couldn't get their free Series 3. They randomly buffed 2 cards, this, that, the other thing. They're taking manpower away from Marvel Snap, but they run it sort of, I'm not trying to be rude, but messily,
Yeah.
right? And like taking that manpower away doesn't give me the most confidence that Snap's going to maintain a super high level of quality. There was a point, thank God they cleaned it up, where like every new card they released was broken in some way. I don't want to go back to that because they're doing 2 games at a time. They have enough money that they shouldn't have to, but I'm also in no way certain that that's going to be the case. So I think this is mostly good news because
Okay.
like I just don't want the game to die. Step 1 is don't die. But step
Yes.
2 is like then what are we living with? I've got a wait and see attitude toward that.
Do you think I mean, so many people on their shows and podcasts and whatnot, the creators talk about the state of the economy of the game. I mean, do you think it's going to lead to higher prices on everything already that we're seeing? I mean, people are complaining about the bundles the way it is. I mean, you think everything is going to go up? It's hard to say, I guess, right?
So they removed the ability to data mine bundles from Marvel
Yes,
Snap.
they did.
So I mean, we officially complained until they broke that. I have strong words about that. I'm furious. I think a lot that I want data mine bundles. I don't actually give a shit about data mine bundles. I'm sure my boss at Marvel Snap Zone feels differently, but huge caveat here. They need to tell us what the fuck they're selling. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse. Sorry. I'm trying not to, but like this actually bothers me. Like I can buy what I need to for the game. I make enough off this that like
Right.
right. But like I'd also like to like as an adult set a budget and be able to like
Mm-hmm.
know how much I have for X, Y, and Z. And like the oh my god, buy this. Oh my god, nope, that's better. Oh my god, nope, that is just completely obnoxious. Like waking up tomorrow and being like, oh look, there's a bundle is completely obnoxious. Like I just didn't buy the last bundle, and I don't know. Like I've got like 11,000 gold, and I'm just gonna sit on it. And I'll
Yep.
buy variants I like, and if I have to buy something, I'll buy something. But like, and like I wailed out, right? But if I
Same here.
can't, but if I can't plan, I just like I'm gonna have to buy less because like I don't know what's coming. I gotta wait for like the best deals, but we don't know what the best deals are. So you're gonna have to blow my face off to get me to pet and buy things right now, which royally sucks, right? Like, cause like I like the $30 2 gold ticket bundle that happened 2 days ago
Yep.
was really good value, and I was like, oh, I'll buy that, and I was like, ooh, I don't know what else I have to buy soon, and then I couldn't, and that was it. Like it was just like, okay, I can't buy that. I don't know if that $30 fits my budget right now. Thank you for not telling me. Like and like maybe it would have, maybe it wouldn't have, right? But odds are I would have found a way to justify it, a way to work it out, and you would have gotten more money from me. And maybe that's not everyone. Maybe I'm enough of an outlier so it doesn't matter. But it is extraordinarily frustrating.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I mean, look, in this day and age, a lot of you have to, especially if it's going to be something like this, where it's something that's not a necessity of any kind. You have to budget stuff. I mean, you
Mhm.
just do. Everybody does, and yeah, I didn't understand that. I really didn't understand that because, like you said, to me, it's not like it's going to deter anyone from buying stuff. I
Yep.
think they just buy it smarter. And I don't really see how that would adversely affect them at all. So I never really kind of understood it. But no, I agree with you. Like I don't understand why they shouldn't be able to show people what they're going to get. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it makes sense. They're selling FOMO, right? Like they're selling the idea that if you don't buy this, you never know what it's going to be next. Maybe this is the best deal in the world. Oh my god, you have to buy it now. Make a
Yep.
decision before you have any information. And like that just feels very shady to me.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. Well, I don't know. I guess I'm glad that you made the point about that. At least the game will stick around for a little while. But the fact that Ben's going elsewhere,
Well, he's
it's
not
like
going elsewhere. He's still here.
not going
He's just
elsewhere. But
yeah.
yeah, on to other things. I should have said. But yeah, I'm sure he'll still be around the Snap area and stuff like that too. But they're venturing forth with other games. So
Yeah.
wouldn't it be interesting if they did something with DC and got 2 of the
Yeah.
biggest
Look,
licenses?
whatever they make, I'm probably gonna play. I don't like this
Yeah,
in any way, shape, or form.
he's got a good track record.
Like I'm almost certainly like in. So
Yeah.
and also it's just, honestly, as a content person, like it expands content in a way that's probably healthy for me to have. I wouldn't be able to do daily videos for two, but if I had like a couple weekly videos for a second game, and then if
Yeah.
Marvel Snap does go shit up, having that second option is probably healthy. But like also like Marvel Snap is fun enough that I have faith that like whatever they make would be entertaining. So I don't like. I thought DC Dual Force was a pile of shit. I thought that game was
I
terrible.
tried it. I hated it.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it was actively bad.
Ugh. Yeah, that was horrendous.
So
That brings me to another question. I mean, I would imagine you've played a lot of card games over the years, like digital card games. Have
a few.
what? Okay. Did you start now? I mean, I started CCGs with Magic, so I was playing Magic in the 90s, almost kind of a little bit after Magic the Gathering first came out. But we were playing, it wasn't obviously CCG back then. We were playing physical card games then.
Mhm.
But what are some of your experiences with card games? What did you play before Snap?
All right. So not exactly a card game, but I don't know. In the mid 2000s, I played Hero Clicks for a couple years.
Oh, I played Hero Clicks too.
I have a million. I don't have the cards. My wife left them in a place that flooded, so all the cards are destroyed, so I can't play. But I have a bajillion Hero Clicks in the basement somewhere.
I had
Um,
to see. Well,
I
you
have
might.
that. I have that with no head. My son ripped his head off and
Did
lost
he?
the head. So that sells for like $200. It's
Yep.
great. It's just
Yeah.
we play with it whenever we play superheroes. It's just headless Galactus.
That's
Um,
awesome. Headless.
but yeah, my son ripped his head off when he
I
was
had
like
the Thanos too, the one that sat on the throne. Yeah, like
nice.
the big piece with the yeah. I enjoyed that game. It
I
was fun.
loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
So I played it, but it was like a 40-minute drive to get where I played it. And
Yeah,
so like I
that's
was like,
similar to
eh.
me.
So I just sort of gave up for a while.
Yep.
I also like I get very shocking for Marvel Snap people. I get very into things I get into, and like I knew more about it than the judges and stuff. And
Mm.
they would just be like, "Here's the rule," and I'm like, "That's not the rule." And they'd be like, "Yes, it is," and I'm like, "It's really not the rule, though.
It's
Like I can cite you sources," and they're like, "That's the rule here." Great. Well, I built this whole deck to do this thing, or this whole set of characters to do this thing that you're not letting me do, even though it's fucking legal in the rules. So I ended up bouncing off it eventually. Not long, 2 years. I still bought a bajillion dollars worth, but 2 years. Um, and then I played a Game of Thrones, the living card game,
okay.
FFG, for fucking ever. I played it from like I don't know. I played it for almost a decade. It's got to be like 2011 ish to 2020, where I had a podcast with Roy and where I did a whole bunch of stuff.
Nice.
I loved that game. They ran it into the ground and didn't advertise it for shit, but I loved that game.
Mm,
There were multiple editions of it. It was a whole thing.
yeah.
So that died, and then COVID happened, and I played Magic for a while.
Okay.
I only like Draft. I think Magic Constructed. I did not play any. I've heard I would like, but I have not played any real whatever it's called, the like group Magic with the single character thing.
Arena was it
No, no,
called?
no,
Or
the in-person one. It's in person.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Commander. Was it Commander?
Commander. That's the word I'm looking
Yes.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Commander. I've never played Commander. I've heard I'd like Commander, but I didn't play it, so I have no answer. But I don't like Constructed Magic. Like I played Constructed, I won enough that it was fine because I had all the cards because I played a ton of Limited.
Yep.
I loved Limited. I want Limited in Snap. So but I really, really, really loved Limited. I played it through COVID, and then I realized it was a really expensive hobby, and so I was just like, which is ridiculous because one of my friends quit and he had gone infinite, so he just had a completely absurd amount of stuff, and he was like, "Here's my account. I'm quitting." And I was like,
Nice.
and I still quit. That account just now sits there. Both that and my account sit there with a bunch of money in it. That'll never be used. So okay, and then I played Storybook Brawl in Auto Battler. That was
Okay.
super fun for 6 months. Then they sold out to an NFT company and immediately started trying to sell us NFTs. And so I dropped that game, and then I had nothing for like 6 months to a year, and then Snap picked up, and I played it. And Snap does, I think I said this in a recent video, but Snap does an amazing job of making you think you're good at Snap at the beginning of Snap.
Yes.
And like you're not, you're beating bots that like are built to lose,
Yep.
but like you still like feel like you're good even though you're not.
Yep.
So I got hooked on Snap, and then I was like, oh, well, we can do a podcast about this, and we did a podcast about it, and then we went from there.
That's awesome. What kind of Magic decks are your favorite? I'm just curious. I was always a big my thing was straight black. I always played straight black with some artifacts, and I played discard. That was my big thing in Magic. I always, no matter what I played against, no matter what their meta or whatever you called it would have happened to be, I would not ever really change that deck. Now, back in the day, oh, and gosh, I wish I still have my cards. Since we were collecting from Unlimited, I owned a Beta Black Lotus.
Ooh.
I owned a lot of those cards. A friend of mine had a beta set of the Lotus, the Moxes, and a couple, three of they called them they were 3 blue cards: Time Walk, Time Twister, and the other one, I forget what the other one was, but he had all of them in beta black border cards. He sold his collection when he sold them for a down payment on his house at that time. So I think it was around 10 grand, but he saw me recently, came up to me and he said, have you looked at the prices of some of those cards on eBay now? I said, no, I probably don't want to. And he's like, no, you really don't want to. But we had extraordinarily powerful cards. And but I was always a big. So what was your kind of like your go-to deck?
So I mean, it was draft, so there was no real go-to deck.
Okay.
But
That's right, you did draft. Yeah.
So I enjoy sets that had blue as one of the main colors best. I wasn't great with blue, but I enjoyed the shit out of blue. I tended to do best. I was really I was an aggro player, which is not usually my style, but I did best with aggro. I like control best, but I was best with aggro.
Yeah, blue decks were always kind of control, even back when. A friend of mine that used to play a stasis. This card is called Stasis, and he used to play a stasis lock deck, where basically they couldn't untap their cards. If you tapped your card to attack, the stasis is out in the thing. You could not untap your attack cards. So people be sitting there with a thing full of the one kid he played with an elf deck, and he had elves all over his board, and he couldn't untap them unless you disenchanted that enchantment that he had out. So it was just disgusting. And I was like, but yeah, there was a typical control card. But yeah, okay. So blue-white control. That's cool, though. I just was curious as to, because I know, doing the podcast and everything that you do and having the experience, I'm sure that helps a lot too, from your perspective doing all that. That's cool, though, that you've been doing that. Very cool. All right, I'm going to get to this. Now, I don't know if you saw this. I'm sure you did.
Of course.
This is March, right, that we're looking at?
Yep.
This is exciting. I love this comic series, too. I don't know if you read this one. This is obviously Avengers versus X-Men.
Yes. I hate that comic series.
But did you like it?
But I like the characters.
Yeah. So this is kind of cool. This is, I guess, the season pass where we're going to get, I'm assuming is the season pass card. And then the Iron Man, Magneto, or variants, I would guess. I like the card backs. Is that what it is? Yeah. I'm guessing because I didn't really read anything about it. I love the card backs. I like the Avengers card back, and I like the Hope card back. I think they look pretty cool. And then they went to, now these are data mined. So as always, we don't know if this is what we're going to get, but some of these seem kind of, let me know what you think. I don't know. Some of these seem pretty powerful cards. After you play a card here, you get a +2 energy each turn with Hope. It seems like a pretty powerful. What do you think of that? I mean, first look, that's a Surfer card or a C3 or a C3 card.
The Kitty Pryde card.
Kitty Pryde. Yep. Oh yeah. Okay.
It's only +1 energy if you're kidding every turn, but playing 1 energy ahead of curve, now you just have an Electra.
So it's going to bring Kitty back. Maybe the Angela type deck or something will come back as well, or maybe Elsa if they ever decide to make Elsa better again.
Yeah, I would assume it's relatively bounce focused, but it doesn't have to be. Elsa would be fine in this, right? Then you just get a huge Kitty. Yeah, that seems fine. You play some move stuff with this, so you can get cards in and out of there. It's going to be super strong. Cope is going to be super strong. Yeah, I agree. I think it looks like a good season pass. We got this. Now I'm guessing that these are these cards all from that season? Yep,
are they all from
Avengers? They have weeks and spotlight caches and everything.
Okay, so Cannonball is a 5/8. Unreal, move an enemy card away from here and add a rock to where it was. This is a blob destroy card. which is kind of funny because it's coming out, then, I mean, unless Blob gets nerfed before then, but technically this can do away with a Blob deck, or the Blob itself, I'd imagine, yeah?
I mean, it's not going to kill the blob, right? Like they'd have to have every other spot on the board filled,
Yep.
and they probably have Kyara. But like, hey, just knocking a card out of there, it basically like so. It looks better than it is because this is Stegron.
Yeah, that the stat line isn't. I mean, the stat line's not super.
No, it's ability. It's just Stegron.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, this literally reads.
yeah. That's
This
true.
is Stegron's text. It's better stats than Stegron, but like
Yep.
it's Stegron's
Yep.
text.
Yeah, move a card away from here. Add a rock. Yeah, no, that's
Add a
true.
rock where
You're
it
right.
was is good, right? Like it's not nothing. It lets you take up a spot with a 0 there, and that's always good. But like,
Yep.
I don't know if it's good. It's cool. It's very cool, and I love Cannonball. New Mutants are amazing, but I don't know if it's good. I just don't know if it's good.
And then we have Pixie. Shuffle the costs of this one. I'm sitting here I'm reading this, and I'm trying to figure this out for the life of me as to what this actually. So my understanding is honor. So you play her, and then the cost of, but I mean, I don't get that. Are they gonna? So if you have, let's say you have 2 cards in your hand, let's say you have 2 cards in your deck, one or 3 cards. One of them costs 1, one of them costs 2, the other costs 3. Are they all gonna just switch costs? Is that how that's gonna? Okay,
that's what it reads like, yeah. Which would be completely broken because you run things like Jane Jaw,
100%.
right? And like your zeros, like whatever you draw that has 0 is great. You just run Jane Foster in the deck, and if you get lucky, you have a nice cheap Jane Foster to get your other nice cheap stuff.
Yep.
You run Thanos with a bunch of big things.
Yep.
And hopefully you get some 6-cost stones and
you get
some 110 Thanoses. That seems pretty good too.
Oh my god, yeah, you're right.
Like Pixie seems completely busted. I don't know. Like people have been like, I don't like Pixie. I'm like, I'm not sure you're thinking about it. What you could do. Like it's just if it works the way it looks like it works. If it's not just like every cost, like if it shuffles the cost with other cards in your deck, it's busted. If it just shuffles their cost at random, then it's not good. If it's like if you've got like 1, 2, 3, and then you could get a 6, a 5, and a 4, right?
Right.
Then that's not good anymore. But if it just takes the cost of the cards in your deck and randomly reorganizes them, that's going to be insane. Completely insane.
That's when I looked at it, I'm like, this is too good to be true. I mean, now obviously these Datamine cards can change. I mean, they've changed before. So speaking of which, this guy, when I first saw the first Datamine, he's nowhere near what he was. What was he? What was it? He
was Craven. He was Craven. Yeah. Not Craven, Khazar.
Khazar. Yeah, he was a fancy Khazar. And now this is completely different. Until the end of next turn, nothing can stop you from playing. This is kind of cool too. I mean, in a lockdown deck, you can. It's almost like you make your cards. They're all Jeffs. You can just put them anywhere you want to put them.
Yep, for 1 turn. Yeah,
that's kind of neat.
1 turn. Have Jeff. Everything is Jeff.
Yeah,
seems good.
That
seems good.
Yeah,
they don't like lockdown. That's what we're seeing.
That's
they really, really want lockdown to go away. So
you're sensing a theme here. Yes.
Yeah. So they're like, all right. So I'm gonna lock down with Professor X. No, you're not. Shut up. I'm gonna lock down with Storm. No, you're not. Shut up. Got it. Thanks.
Yep.
Sanctum Sanctorum. No. Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's true. All those lockdown lands too, or the locations too. Oh my gosh, that's a pretty powerful card. Yeah,
it's super good. It's super good. It's probably the best of the month, despite. I mean, unless Pixie is as broke. Well, okay. There's 3 really good cards. Pixie could be the best. This could be the best, and Hope could be the best.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's not going to be Cannonball.
Yeah,
it sucks because he's easily my favorite character of these. But what are you gonna do?
Pixie is?
No, Cannonball.
Oh, Cannonball. Yeah,
but he's not good. So
yeah,
Stegron plus a rock is like maybe I'm wrong, right? But Stegron plus a rock is there. There's 1 more card, by the way.
Yeah, I must have been. I was gonna say I think I'm missing the other. There's a 5th card, right?
Mockingbird, who's also.
Oh, okay. I didn't even see that one. I don't think on the list. What?
She's a 5/9. Costs 1 less for each card you have in play that didn't start in your deck.
Ooh.
So
okay.
It's in play, so that's the real problem here. But things that like transform your cards, like Tarnax 4, will make her cheaper. If you get rocks on your side of the board or goblins on your side of the board, that'll make her cheaper. She's bad, probably anyway. Like, I mean, look, okay. I don't know how much you need to cheapen her to get her to be good. She has 9 power. So if you get her to be a 3/9, she's stellar. 9 power. 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 She's stellar. 9 power
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Like, okay, so she probably goes in Thanos decks then, because stones don't start in your deck. But I
I
don't
didn't
think she
see.
really goes anywhere else.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, I mean, well,
I mean, she's decent with Hood, right? Because the demon
yeah.
didn't start in your deck, and now she's a 4/9, and then you'd only really need one more thing to make her good.
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely.
like, so your goal is to get her to 3/9, then she could be good. I'm not out on her, but I'm not in on her either.
In either case, I hope I think it looks like a fun season.
Oh yeah,
So hopefully it's going to be good. Let's see here. There's the that's the Galactus deck that I've been playing.
I know. I shared it.
That's yep. That's it. This is, I'm telling you what, people like, they're like, no, this isn't good. I said, this is a good deck, dude. Like, this is a really, really good deck. And it really doesn't even you get that Ravona out, you get the goblins
Mhm.
out there, and it's like, this is, I've definitely been winning it with it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what so what are you most looking forward to with the game itself? Like, what is something, I guess, maybe to kind of close us out here in the last 15 minutes that we have? What are some of the things you really hope happens with Snap? Like, I know that you went over the stuff with the economy, with the with the data mines, and kind of being able to know ahead of time
Mhm.
what you can purchase and things like that. Completely get that. But what are some of the other things you would like to see happen with this game that you think kind of maybe even need to happen with this game? I know I heard you in discussions with some other podcasts that you were on talking about the amount of people that it seems that are leaving the game,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So what are some of the things you would think would bring some of those players maybe who left that would bring them back?
I mean, there needs to be a returning player thing, right? Like you need to get something to help catch you up, but mostly you just need to fix Series 3. Like a lot of people that leave in the doldrums of Series 3. Series 3 takes a million years to finish unless you spend a
Yeah.
ton of money, and it's super boring. Like most people, like I know a few people who've enjoyed their Series 3 journey, but most people are just like, oh my god, can I end this already?
Hmm.
Series 3 is like 5 times as big as the other series, something stupid like that. And it's not necessary. You get cards so much less frequently. A bunch of those cards are completely useless. Put like 10 cards in Series 2 and then figure out another way to shrink Series 3.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with you. I can remember when I first started playing, and just that climb through. Now it was kind of fun because you were opening new cards all the time. So, but
You climb through it when you can choose to buy cards with tokens.
yes,
It's not the
yeah,
same.
yeah, that's true.
We
I
didn't
mean,
experience it.
and even then, and I know you brought this up on another discussion you had as well, but even then, it was always the luck of the draw anyway, because you would see some people who are having, they have the Wong deck with the Odin and
Mhm.
with the White Tiger going on, and then you're sitting there trying to do something with a whole bunch of scattered cards that you got that really don't
Mhm.
synergize in any way. So yeah, yeah. I mean, if you could, besides, like, if you could fix the whole thing, and even besides Series 3, what would you do? Like, what would be your suggestions with a new player experience to like, if you could just go from scratch and just
Oh,
start
new player experience is amazing. Just when you get to Series 3, double the
right?
acquisition rate.
Okay.
Literally double it.
Yep. So instead of just getting one every, what is it, four or something like that, I think now is it one every like four levels that you go up the ladder. I think that they get a card or
At
something
first
like
it's
that.
4, then it becomes 8, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like
So
no, one every 4 they get a cash. That's not a card.
yeah, now that's true. Yeah, that could
Right?
be
Like one
anything.
out of every like 16 or whatever it is a
Yeah.
card. And that's just like it goes from 1 to 4 to like 16, and that's absurd. Like make it 8 and call it a day.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if it was double the speed and you were still getting new cards like really quickly, like 2 a day, right?
Yep.
Like that feels a million times better. And it's not taking 6 months anymore. 6 months
Yep.
is absurd.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it sounds like that sounds like a great idea. I would agree. I mean, I guess when these people come back, it's just that they're too far behind
Hmm.
too.
Hmm.
And then you just know, well, I want to play with this cool card. I can't, because I don't have it, and I can't do these decks and stuff like that. So yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know what else they do, to be honest.
Yeah. 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 Oh, I agree. I agree. That's definitely a good point. Um, what is I mean, man, I like I said, I've got to give you credit for all those videos. I have to say I love your stuff. I love what you
Thank you.
do. It really is helpful. Really is helpful when you see those decks. And I've watched so many, like I spend so much time. My wife yells at me, she's like, "Are you watching Snap stuff again?" I watch so many creators that do a good job, but I've never seen anybody do the deck step by step and stuff like you guys do,
Thank you.
and like you do. I absolutely love that. I think that's fantastic because you give people your options, what you could do turn one, turn two, all the way through the end of the game. Yeah, yeah, I really, really just love the stuff. I was going on that website, and I don't know if you were you with them from the start
Oh, Snap Zone?
when
Nope.
Judgment started?
Nope. Nope.
Okay,
I didn't start. I did nowhere for a while, and then we were with SnapFan for 4 months,
okay,
and then when we parted ways as SnapFan, I talked to Terrence, and we hit it off really well. And I came
nice.
over to Snap Zone. We've been there since June. Yeah, since June.
Okay, I've been using it for the forever because
Hmm.
of the card tracker. When I first they have the collection tracker. Sorry, the collection thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was using that since I first started playing to be able to keep track of the cards and stuff like that. So it's cool. Yeah, I like it a lot. It's really helpful, and like I said, I like what you do. It's awesome,
Thank
man.
you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, anytime. And listen, I appreciate you being on. I really do.
Okay, too.
It was great talking. For me, for being just kind of getting started and having this on, I was when you reached out, I was like, wow, he actually wants to
Hmm.
be
I
on my
did.
show. That was pretty that was pretty cool. So but yeah, any last things you want to say out there to any of the people that may be listening to my show or to to the content out there? But like I said, man, thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate that, and I really love the community, the people who you interact with, the people that have interacted with me, are just all a bunch of great people, and it's really cool to see because as I was telling you, I do the wrestling show
Hmm.
that can sometimes get rough, man. Like for being something that's entertainment and you're watching stuff on TV, like the amount of like
So,
hatred you see go back and forth on that sometimes is like it blows my mind.
so I in I don't know, around the same time I played HeroClix, I guess I was the head writer for a fairly major wrestling website,
Oh, no
and
kidding. Okay.
and it was a nightmare. Like those people suck. No
Oh
offense
my
to
gosh.
like the nice wrestling fans, but most wrestling fans are freaking morons, and they're so rude to each other, and that
Oh,
they're just not nice people. Um,
the
I was at
tribalism
I
and
went to World's End,
oh, nice.
and
Okay.
like there is a sizable Chris Benoit chant,
No kidding.
and I'm
Yeah.
just like that. Like you're not edgy. It's gross.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's. I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't know. I enjoy wrestling. I don't love it the way I used to, but I enjoy
Yep.
wrestling. But like,
We
ugh,
we try to differentiate ourselves. We started doing
I'd
it during
assume
COVID
you're, you know what I
and
mean?
try
Like
and
not you.
yeah, we try to make it where we're just trying to be positive about it. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, and just try to keep it fun and laugh about it and stuff like that because it's just entertainment. It's really all it is. But
Yes.
you're right. Like, there's so much, especially now that you got two major companies. There's tribalism between
Oh,
both, and one will hate this one, and this one hate. It's like, oh my gosh, it's just wrestling. You just
well, I don't enjoy WWE, so you know what I do?
yeah,
I don't watch it or talk about it. And people are like,
exactly
"What's your opinion on?" And I'm like, I don't have one. I don't
right.
care.
It's like
I don't. It's like, what? But don't you hate when they? I'm like, I mean, I would if I watched. Why do I care? Like, it doesn't matter to me or affect my life in any way. Like, I don't. I am too old to like spend my time watching or doing something I don't enjoy. It's why I stopped watching Star Wars things sight unseen. Right?
yeah, it makes
Like,
sense.
I'd watch a show and be like, why did I just spend 15 hours of my life watching this and another 30 being angry about it?
Yep.
Like that's like this is like it's just move on, right? Like do things you love. If things make you angry, stop doing them. Especially
On
with your
our
entertainment.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Like we've moved away on our show. We do a lot of stuff. Well, now we were doing Impact. mostly.
Oh, cool.
And now, of course, they're changed back to TNA. So we're pretty excited about that. And we kind of just dug our little niche, and that's what we do. We just do stuff with Impact mostly. And we've had a lot of the wrestlers on our show, which was cool,
Nice.
and stuff like that. And it's just it's something that not everybody else was doing. But what's nice about it, and I often say, it's like it's for me, when doing that, you're not seeing that tribalism as much. So it's kind of nice to get away from that. But you're 100% right. Like, if you don't like it, and I say this all the time, turn it off.
Yep.
just don't watch.
Yep.
Crazy, man.
People like yelling. It's the internet.
Yeah. It must be an outlet, especially on the socials. Good gosh.
All right. Let me do my sign off. Ready?
Yes.
All right, dear listeners, if you came, you need to 100% hit that sub button. Like, follow this channel. Wherever you found this, if you're on iTunes, if you're on Spotify, wherever you are, leave a review. 5 stars and some kind words go a long way to helping shows like this. Make sure you help it out. Make sure you show some love. Showing love in this way is completely free to you, and all it does is help people. Always be a good, helpful person. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much. Hey, again, thank you so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate that. I know I'm going to be tuning in all the time. Make sure you tune in to Snap Judgments. Again, GLAZER does an amazing job, and the other people that are there do an awesome job. Tune into them. They have daily videos out with all the deck ideas, the new cards, everything, a lot of the stuff we went over here. So make sure you check them out as well. It's an awesome site, website. It's a great YouTube video, and make sure you go check it out. So awesome. Thank you so much for being on, and hopefully guys, we will see you all. Sub to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. It helps out big time with those algorithms, and hopefully I'll see you more in this way, and not just audio and not just talking to myself. It's kind of cool. I said, somebody was laughing. They're like, you do a pretty good job for a person who does it solo. I said, sometimes it gets a little lonely. I said, but I refer back to my old radio station college days when I was in a booth by myself at like 11 o'clock at night till 1 o'clock in the morning. And there was never anyone there either. So, but yeah, great stuff. Thank you so much for being on. And guys, I will talk to you all soon. Have a great rest of your week. Please stay safe. Be kind to one another. And I'll talk to you all in the next one.